Let's go to the moment where you see Pretti trying to help up those two women who were pushed down. The reaction was really severe. Forget about, I'm not even the shooting, but, pepper spraying him, hitting him in the head with a canister, punching him, taking him down and swarming him. Do you think that was appropriate force?
Well, that could be determined later by an investigation for sure. I don't know all of the events leading up to this moment. I do know that law enforcement, certainly ICE and Border Patrol, have been under a tremendous amount of pressure and attacks, and they're getting tremendous abuse from what I completely believe is a 100% organized opposition. Very, very, actually, pretty sophisticated. And I think we're going to uncover that as it goes on. And I think, unless you're there in the moment with the agents, it's hard to understand. But if someone is committing a felony, which would be obstructing law enforcement, ICE, federal agents from doing their job, impeding, obstructing, that's a felony. And perhaps they were just trying to take him down at that point in time. He certainly wasn't there just being a peaceful protester. And it was a very bad idea to engage physically with federal law enforcement while armed. He's standing between law enforcement officers and that woman. That's a mistake in its own right. And doing it while armed is a bad idea. I think once these signal chat things come out and the Department of Justice gets a chance to review the body cams of all of these agents who are probably wearing body cams, I think we'll have a much clearer picture.
I don't think they were. A lot of them weren't.
Well, if one of them is, you're going to have a different angle that we haven't seen. And you're going to hear a lot of audio that we can't hear there. If he was instructed to get out of the road, if he was asked to move it to a different direction or told or ordered to do so and didn't do so, you're starting to impede.
He was helping two women up who were not targets.
They were not being arrested.
They were not targets of the Border Patrol. They were not illegal aliens. There was no thought they were. In fact, the officers knew who they were because they were blowing whistles before. So they were merely people that they had pushed to the ground. By trying to help somebody up, how is this impeding anything? I don't understand that.
How many times had he had communication with law enforcement and officers before that moment? Why was he standing in the street? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. He may have been impeding. He may have become himself a target just for standing in front of. Maybe he was standing in front of ICE vehicles. I don't know, but there's an awful lot of that. And the truth of this is, it really falls on the shoulders of Governor Walz, Mayor Fry, and all the city and state officials who are not cooperating with ICE and who are calling them Gestapo and modern day Nazis. That rhetoric is emboldening people, and they're telling them to fight them in the streets and do these things. That is the root cause of the problem. Sanctuary cities is a big part of it. Let ICE come and get these criminals out of jail.
Just so you know, I just want to set the record straight here. I have never heard the mayor or the governor say fight them in the streets. I have. Fight them in the streets.
Fight them. Fight them.
I want to see
that.
I've
seen clips of it.
Well, not fight them in the streets. You said fight them in the streets. You said fight them in the streets.
Fight them. Fight them in the streets. Yes, I've heard that as well.
What do you think of Kristi Noem coming out and saying, right out of the gate, before seeing any video, he was brandishing a gun? You have Bavino saying that he was trying to massacre officers. You have Stephen Miller saying he's a domestic terrorist. This is within an hour or so after the shooting without any video. What about that rhetoric?
I honestly don't. I'm not aware of that rhetoric, and it doesn't sound like it's helping tamp down the temperature, but I don't know specifically what they were referring to or what information that Kristi Noem has. Obviously, I will be working for her, so but I do believe in her very much. Maybe that was I didn't see any brandishing at the time, but I've only seen a few videos and I haven't seen all of the stuff. And so look, I don't know. I don't agree with overblown rhetoric on either side. As someone who does carry a weapon often concealed, if I have any interaction with law enforcement, I immediately want them to know that I am carrying a weapon. I have a badge in my pocket. I'm a law enforcement officer. I will show my hands. I don't want there to be any misunderstanding, because that's a very tenuous situation. These officers are wonderful, fantastic, lovely people. I know so many of them, and they are under so much pressure and so much attack through the media, through Governor Walz, through Mayor Fry. These officers and agents are under incredible pressure. And the last thing you want to do in a situation like that is have a firearm, be in that situation, put your hands on law enforcement in any way, shape, or form because you're asking for trouble. If you're an officer and you hear gun, 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 and you're in the middle of a tussle, that's a problem.
Well, but wait a minute. Who is the problem? When you say gun, 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 shouldn't the officers be coordinated enough that there is a difference between the person on the ground brandishing it and an officer who's already taken it away? Shouldn't they have the responsibility of coordinating before they shoot?
Harvey, you know how fast these things happen. It's Graham versus Connor. It's a Supreme Court case. It's about the reasonableness of what a reasonable officer would do in the same circumstance. And that's going, and it's not 2020
But
hindsight.
I'll give you the answer. I'll give you the answer. There are a lot of police departments that have protocol with what they say in a situation like this. Sometimes you say gun as opposed to gun, gun, gun in a shocking way to distinguish between somebody is about to shoot you and they've disarmed a suspect.
I've been part of four police departments, and I've never heard that specific change. When you see a weapon and you're in the middle of taking someone down who is resisting law enforcement. By the way, he was resisting.
Once they tell you to get down,
they put their hands on you.
His hands were on the ground, and he was...
No, lay flat. Put your hands out wide. If you have a weapon on you, there's no way.
He couldn't. He had 5 people on top of him.
Yes, he can.
He had
yes,
5 people on top of him.
Well, Harvey, this will be legislated in the court of law. It'll be seen, and we'll be able to go through it. But right now, I don't agree with that.